What's going on, guys? I'm a teacher in the house, and I am here with the GPL Week 10 Team Builder. Your Royal Bomber for Bombies are taking on the Hectic Hydreigons and my good friend Transel. Now, I'm gonna be real with you guys. This match does not matter for either of us, so I don't much care about how this match goes for either of us at all. Win or loss does not matter. Other results in the league actually make it even less relevant for us. I have a 2-win buffer even if I lose this match. The only thing that we realistically have to fight for is the #1 seed, but to be honest, I don't really care about the #1 seed, so this match doesn't matter. So, I'm going to be bringing a few sets that are kind of stupid. I'm going to be bringing mons that probably shouldn't come to this match if I was actually tryharding. I didn't really put a lot of time into this build. Transel and I are actually going to be battling in call. We're going to be having a bit of fun memeing on each other and stuff like that. So yeah, ultimately I am going to make a bit of an effort to win the game, but I'm not going to care if I lose. So, let's look at his draft. His draft is incredibly broken. I do want to point out that Zera Aura is actually on the end of this list because for a bit of fun, we decided to ban a Pokemon from each other's team. He banned my Infernape and I banned his Zera Aura, so Zera Aura is not going to be coming to this match. So yeah, I won't talk about Zera Aura just because it's banned, it's pointless. But yeah, he's got Mega Gallade, of course, someone I had in the MPLA. Pretty specially bulky, decent attack stat, of course, at 165 base attack, which is insane. 110 speed is also pretty solid. Basically, it's mostly known for sub-bulk up, gets knockoff, even gets Calm Mind, of course. Can be special, but you don't really care too much for its special attack stat. But yeah, it gets Close Combat, gets Drain Punch, gets the Elemental Punches, gets Knockoff. Does get quite a lot of cool things, does get some attack moves as well, and like Wish, Toxic, gets Memento, I believe it gets Healing Wish as well, I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, gets Priority and Sucker Punch, of course. So, it's a good mon, pretty well-rounded Pokemon in general. I prefer it to Mega Medicham, having used both now, so yeah, pretty interesting mon. Lando T, of course, super broken, really powerful mon, really well-rounded, of course, very versatile, uses a lot of different sets. Obviously, it gets Intimidate, of course, gets Rocks, gets U-Turn, can be Z-Fly, can be Sash Explosion, can be all sorts. I dread to think what Transel's bringing, to be honest. He could bring just about anything, because he has told me he's bringing some Spice, so I'll be interested to see what he does bring, if he does bring Lando. Lando's actually really good against my team in general. I don't have an Ice type, so my only real ways to hit it are through coverage, which I do have coverage for on my team, just not as much as I would like. So yeah. Next up is Superior, of course, known for its Contrary ability, of course, for Contrary Leaf Storm. Gets Sub, gets Leech Seed, gets Glare, of course, for speed control. Does hit pretty hard, really strong mon in general. Can be a little slow if it's not Scarf, but otherwise, pretty good set in general. Pretty powerful Pokemon. Gets Dragon Pulse as well, things like that. Gets some really weird coverage options. Does also get Defog if I remember correctly, which is kind of bizarre, but it is what it is. It's got Araquanid, naturally really bulky, water bug type Pokemon, with that water bubble ability, doubling the power of water type moves and absorbing fire types, so it's got less of a fire weakness. Hits really hard, really powerful Pokemon. Gets Sticky Webs as well, gets really good speed control. So yeah, I would expect it to come if this was a legitimate match. I don't think it comes this match, but you never know. Kyurem, one of his MVPs, really. Kyurem's a really solid mon, can be bulky, can be really offensive, gets coverage options, things like Earth Power. Pretty solid mon, pretty hard hitting on the special side, not so good on the physical side, but pretty cool Pokemon nonetheless. I've seen him run like sub-roof sets in the past, so I won't be surprised to see it. Next up is a Alolan Persian, probably the derpier of the Persians, honestly. Gets Parting Shot, of course, known for Z-Parting Shot mostly. Pretty strong, gets Technician, gets Fur Coat abilities, which are both really nice. Gets things like Power Gem. Can also be a decent Black Hole Eclipse user if it was a Z Captain. I don't actually believe this is a Z user on his team. I can't remember. I need to check. Let me see. GPL week 1. GPL. I really should remember his Z's, honestly. He does. He has Zera Aura, Alolan Persian, and Palosander as his Z's. So he could run Z-Parting Shot, of course, if he was tryharding, but he could just run Black Hole Eclipse. It does get some pretty cool moves, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him bring it. But yeah. Next up is Palosander's other aforementioned Z-move user. Pretty interesting mon, gets the rather cool Shore Up move for recovery. Doesn't really hit very hard, but does get some cool bulk. It does have water compaction, of course, which buffs defense if it's hit by a water move. Pretty nice ability for it. I believe it gets rocks, so it's not a bad Pokemon. Not a mon I'm a particular fan of personally, but it's an okay mon. Next up is Heatran, of course, a mon we're all familiar with. Gets rocks, of course. Can be Z Solar Beam, but it's not hard allowed to be in this league as Heatran is not a Z Captain. Hits pretty hard on the special side especially. Gets things like Earth Power. Gets a cool trapping move in Magma Storm. Hits hard with Flash Cannon, of course. Yeah, pretty solid, well-rounded Pokemon. Really interesting one to bring. Really actually hits a lot of my team relatively well if I don't bring things like Infernape. Mega Arrow does beat it because it outspeeds and hits quite hard. But if you run Scarf, of course, Flash Cannon one-shots me most of the time. So yeah, that's something to bear in mind. Next up is Weezing, is only poison type, but unfortunately it's not grounded, so it doesn't absorb toxic spikes. But pretty powerful mon, gets some really strange coverage moves, I believe it gets Dazzling Gleam, it gets Flamethrower, does also get Destiny Bond, which is something to bear in mind, does also get Toxic Spikes in his own, can also be running Haze, obviously he can't run Z-Haze, which is a cool move, but he doesn't get it. It gets a lot of cool moves, gets a bit of damage, pretty good on the special side, pretty weak on the physical side though, so pretty exploitable there. Unfortunately, I don't have too many things to hit it. Ground moves obviously miss because of Levitate, so that's something to bear in mind. So his only main weakness is Psychic, which I do have a couple of Psychic types on my team, notably Cresselia of course, but Celebi's also weak to Poison, so that's something to bear in mind. Next up is Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff's a really cool little bulky fairy. Very low tier mon, but it's a very underrated mon in my opinion. Gets cool abilities in Frisk, so it can scout for my items. Also gets competitive, which can be really good against Defog, giving him a special attack boost if it gets a stat drop. Really cool mon, gets a lot of coverage moves, does also get Stealth Rock, so is a kind of interesting mon. Does also get Wish off that big HP stat, which is very nice, passing off really high value wishes to the more offensive Pokemon, fully healing them from pretty low health. Can be scary, but yeah, pretty interesting. Now Zeraora of course is banned, but obviously it's extremely fast, hits incredibly hard on both the physical and special side, gets set up on both sides, gets pivot on both sides, gets a lot of coverage, but it's not coming this match, so it does not matter. So, let's talk about my team. You can probably hazard a guess the first mon on my team looking at the set. I bring this almost every week, but we're bringing Choice Scarf Hydreigon. I like the set. I rather jokingly called this I Thought You Loved Me because Hydreigon is his mascot, it's his favorite Pokemon. So I'm purely bringing it against him just because it is his favorite Pokemon. Dragon Pulse is mostly there for Kyurem, of course. Flash Cannon hits things like the Wigglytuff pretty hard, does also hit the Kyurem. Hidden Power Ice is mostly there for Lando, of course, also hits Superior and U-turn just to pivot out. Pretty standard set, honestly. Nothing too complicated, but cool nonetheless, so I had to bring it. Next up is, of course, Mega Arrow, who for some reason decides it wants to stay still. Let me just fix that real quick. I don't know why it does this sometimes. If anyone knows why, please let me know. But yeah, we're running kind of weird spread this week. Because he's not bringing Zeraora, with a Jolly Nature, I outspeed everything on his team that's not Scarfed. So that's fine because the next fastest mon on his team is Alolan Persian, which is base 115 speed, which tops out at 361 if it was max speed and speed boosted nature. But Mega Arrows now with a Jolly Nature hits 369 speed, so that's fine. So I just invested the EVs into bulk, which meant that if he does run a Scarfer, there's a high chance I live any hit, which means I hit back with any of my 4 attacking moves. Earthquake, Ice Fang, Iron Head, Aerial Ace hits pretty much everything on his team. There's not really much that wants to take any of these moves. I do have to be careful, of course, of that Araquanid. I don't really touch Araquanid that hard. Aerial Ace is pretty good, but not the greatest. Also, things like Palisand I don't hit that hard if he's running physical bulk. This thing doesn't also hit Weezing that well, which is something I've just noticed, but yeah. It's a pretty strong, powerful, hard-hitting mon in general. It's designed just to rip holes in his team. Whatever he brings, I can just break it. So, that works for me. But yeah. Coming in next is Moonduck, of course, the Cresselia, running a calm mindset, but running fully Spadaf. This is basically designed to take on Superior. Can also take Kyurem relatively well. But yeah, this thing's job is just to set up Calm Mind and clip buttons. Pretty standard set, honestly, nothing too complicated. Running purely Special Bulk because a lot of his hard-hitting offense I would want to switch Cresselia into is more of a special attack, so I can deal with it relatively easy with this spread. This thing hits pretty much everything except Hydreigons, which is something to bear in mind. Unfortunately, I don't really get good coverage moves for Hydreigons, so that's something to bear in mind. But yeah, Cresselia is just designed just to break through his team aim on the special side, which Aero breaks on the physical side, so it's a pretty solid set. Works out kind of nice for us. So now we're going to go into the more lesser used mons that I don't really bring too much. Next up is going to be Bluebell, Florges, running Carmine Aromatherapy set. If he tries to Toxic me on anything, a lot of his mons get Toxic, so I won't be surprised if he tries to run it. I can just bring this in and Aromatherapy all these Toxics off. Pretty much Wish support with Carmine. Moonblast Mono Attack obviously hits everything except Wheezing, which is kind of nice. Does a bit of damage. I don't expect this thing to do much. Running fully physical bulk just to handle the physical attackers alright. Because I've got really great special defense anyway, I didn't need to invest any more in it to be able to take any hits. This thing takes on Mega Gallade pretty well, even if it knocks over my leftovers, which is fine. So yeah, gonna be pretty interesting. Florges is kind of like my defensive switch to things like the Kieran, also like the Gallade. Can also take on the Lando relatively well, unless it's running some bizarre poison move. But yeah, either way, pretty cool set, so I'm looking forward to running it. Next up is going to be my biggest meme of the week. It's going to be Iron Man to Registeel, but we're running fully offensive. Obviously offensive Stealth Rock, with the weakness policy. This is basically there, so if he tries to Hidden Power Fire me with Superior, or if he tries to like Earthquake me with Lando, I live it, because of max HP, I live pretty much anything, so I can just sit in there, proc the weakness policy, and then just fire off some big hits with the Flash Cannon and the Focus Blast. Body Slam is largely just there for speed control. If I can slow some things down a little bit, that'll help the things like my Mega Aero, my Hydreigon, and my Cresselia to break things a lot easier. So yeah. Pretty cool little mon. I thought I'd bring it for a bit of fun. Obviously, like I said, this match doesn't really matter for us, so this is just here for bants, honestly. But yeah, it's cool nonetheless. This hits pretty much everything. If I miss a Focus Blast, I miss a Focus Blast, but hey ho, it's all good fun. Anyway, so yeah. And last but by no means least, she had such a good debut, so I thought I'd bring her back. Mamoru, the Kangaskhan, is here. Yeah, fairly standard really. I decided to run speed this week just because I wanted to outspeed a few things on his team. He has a few mons that are kind of in and around Kangaskhan's speed tier. I do want to check the main one I wanted to outspeed, which was Hydreigons. Hydreigons was the main thing I needed to outspeed, and then I outspeed and Drain Punch and kill it. This set pretty much hits everything on his team. Obviously, with Scrappy, the Palisand can't switch in on Fake Out. Ice Punch also hits that thing pretty hard. Drain Punch hits a lot of his team. Ice Punch is just generally good against his team regardless. He's got a lot of ice weaknesses. Sucker Punch is just there to revenge kill as and when needed. Running max speed, max attack out of my nature just to hit that little bit harder. With the max speed, I outspeed Hydreigons regardless. So we are in a pretty good spot. So yeah, that's going to be my team. Going to be kind of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys are as well. It's going to be a bit of a show match. We're not really going to be tryharding. I wouldn't necessarily bring this team if I was actually tryharding this match. There are definitely some mons and sets that I wouldn't choose. But yeah, gonna be fun. So look forward to it, guys. I'm going to get on out of here and prepare for the battle with Dransel. Look forward to it. So, my name is Rabombi Teacher. I'm your coach of the Royal Bomber for Bombis. Stay safe, stay awesome, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.